I think we need a little bit more blush. He's not looking as cute. Ooh, kawaii. Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a minute since I drew some of your characters, so I figured, hey, might as well ask some of the amazing people in my Discord server and, see if they got any OCs for me to draw, right? They did give me a lot more than I was expecting, to be honest, so we won't be able to do all of them today, sadly. So I just chose some of the first designs that really, caught my eye, and I think that'd be, fun to draw, and, try to have a little bit of variation. So it looks like the first character up to bat is gonna be Sir Footwarmer's OC Takumi. To be honest, he's a handsome young fella, alright, little heartthrob even, but instead of fawning over him for the entire video, I said we just happen to give him a little sketch. Alright, this is the first sketch. I think I made him look like he cries a little too much. Wasn't on purpose, but I mean, I think it kind of works. The actual color scheme isn't too crazy. He's a little freaky though. He got no shirt on, so I'm a little flustered myself, to be honest here. But, I think we just gotta do the hot man his justice, you know what I mean? Yeah, either way, we're gonna give him a little bit of blush because he's kind of cute like that. I think that's not looking too bad, to be honest. I think I'm starting to get the hang of the dirty blonde hair finally. I don't know why I was having so much trouble with it, but it's just always looked mid. It's just skill issues, I guess, but yeah, I also like to just block out my shading first and really get some of those big initial shapes in before I start throwing a ton of detail at stuff. I think it just helps make the drawing a lot more clear visually. It's not like one of the main things I focus on, but it's like a little side quest, little subplot. Since he's got a real hot, sexy, flowy hairstyle, I try not to have a ton of right angles in the hair, a lot more softer shapes. I just feel like it helps bring out the nature of the hairstyle. And I'm just doing this all in the same color, and then I'm gonna go back and change it to their individual colors later. I found that it just picks up the pace for the whole drawing process. And in the references I saw, he had a pretty mean physique, so we're gonna try and emulate that. I can't make him less hot. That's really the problem here. Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys are the type to be scared of shading. And I used to be the same way, so I'm not coming out of nowhere. But I think honestly the only thing that you need to worry about when you're shading is just making it consistent. So since this scenario is top-down lighting, all you need to worry about, all the shadows, top-down. You don't have to go any detail. Even if you just do one singular color, it will look better. It's just when you get all muddy and you if I threw a shadow up here, dark shadow. That doesn't make any sense, right? Use the noodle upstairs a little bit, and I think you'll be good, honestly. I think it's coming along pretty nicely. We're pretty much done with base shading. I just want to do a little bit to the eyes, really give it some contrast here. Because that's not one of the main things I think about, is just that contrast creates focus. The nice part about him being all hot and naked, less stuff to draw. So really, I'm liking this meta. There's no real rhyme or reason right now for my reflections here. I'm just kind of tossed them where I think it makes sense. Really anywhere that faces up is kind of one of the main things I'm thinking of, but it's a pretty loose rule. Call it a refined instinct, and we'll just call it a day. I think we need a little bit more blush. He's not looking as cute. Ooh, kawaii. Yeah, now we're talking. It's called culture, all right? And we can do a little bit brighter skin tone as well, kind of like a highlight. That's way too bright, okay. And we can throw a little bit more saturation in the air here. This is what I'm talking about with the dirty blonde. I always make it too desaturated initially. Maybe I have a room temperature IQ and that's not helping either, so. Here we go. I think we could use some highlights, and I think we'll be good. Coming along pretty nicely, honestly. Give us some nice, luscious lips, kissable lips, even, potentially. Okay, I'm not one to judge here. See, and now I think really what'll bring this together is some loose strands. Really reinforce the hairstyle. I don't like adding them on until the very end because I feel like it just muddies up the shading if I do it initially, because I'm incapable of just drawing around them essentially, so planning ahead for my own stupidity here. Well, there we go. And typically for backgrounds, right? So you see how we have a lot of warm tones? Let's say we put down a a warm background color. You know, it doesn't look bad, but he kind of blends in. He looks a little desaturated, right? And if we choose a cooler color, all of a sudden he pops. And really it's just that, again, it's the contrast of the cool background versus the warm, like, main tones of the skin. It really makes the colors pop. And here's number one. You know, I had quite a bit of fun with it. I think there's a little bit of problems with the expression, but that's more skill issues on my end, not on the character's end. I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely love this dude's art style. And I don't know, just the way he renders is super cool. It's like it's loose, but like in a good way, you know? Like it feels very alive, I guess is one way to put it. So you should definitely check him out here. You know, I think in the future I'm definitely gonna have to practice some more subtle emotions. But you know, I'm fine with that. Figured out some of my limits so we can work on them in the future and hopefully be a better artist, right? As that is the goal. Alright, now that we're all flustered from this hot man, I say we dial up the cuteness factor and get into Tonya from Wild Aether. I'm a big fan of like the color scheme and just the overall design of this one. I think it's just, you know, clean and good, right? So I say we just hop into some sketching. Alright boys, this is the sketch for Tonya. So I say without any further ado, we just throw some blush on there, you know what I mean? I don't know how many of you guys watched the video of me doing some men, but this was actually in that one too. I didn't end up going with it. I don't remember the reason. I don't think I had like a strong reason, because I'm a big fan of the design. I think I just wasn't sure like what pose to do, because even now I had like quite a bit of trouble finding the pose for this one. I don't know why though. Yeah, I really like how the design's like just simple, but like it's all you need, right? It's not super complicated. It's really recognizable. It's definitely one of my favorite ones I've seen so far, especially in Aether style. It just works super well. That is one tricky thing, because especially now that my style is like a little bit more realism, if you want to call it that, it is kind of like hard the more stylized characters get to like adjust them. I could also just draw more anime style, honestly, and that would kind of solve the problem, but that requires me to not be lazy, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, recently I've been rendering the eyes before I do shading, just so I can do one multiply layer over that, and then we're just done. It's just a simpler process. Man, I always have trouble placing the pupils in. I'll try to make them not look like they're staring at my soul, but without a highlight, that's kind of just happens. So, let's see. Cheeky multiply. And I think I want to do simpler shading here. Alright, I'm actually kind of messing with this. I say we do a little bit of some reflections here. You know, just a few little extra details here and there. Nothing too crazy. This one's actually going a little smoother than I thought. The last one for shading, it kind of threw me for a loop. I don't know why, but I was definitely struggling with it. So, but then again, I was struggling with the pose for this one for so long, so maybe I just can't draw. That's probably it. Found out the real secret. Also, I just recently, as in like today, changed my keyboard shortcuts so I have flip canvas on one. I think that's the best decision I've made in my entire life, honestly. And when they are like a cuter character like this, I like to do a bigger highlight. I don't know if there's like any actual method to that, like any reason, but I think it just works, makes him look a little happier. And this is why I do the darker rings in the hair here, just because hair isn't a consistent color the same way, right? And also it helps the highlights pop a lot more, because if you have white hair and then you do a white highlight, you can't tell. So if you do the highlights over the darker areas like that, you know, just gives it a little bit more visual interest. Let's see, and they had a teal background, so I think we'll do the same. The cheeky little gradient. And here you go. Here's Tonya in my style. You know, I'm a really big fan of the character design, and I think we did it a good amount of justice. I think, I don't know why, but I had a lot of trouble figuring out, like, the pose for this one. I think we ended up on something alright, but it's still not exactly what I was going for. Yeah, although not the worst thing I made, so you know what, I'll take what I can get, right? If you want to follow Wild Aether, here's where you can do that. So, I say without any further ado, we just hop on the lore of the next character here. Alright, now that we've been on our boy arc, I say we set our focus on creating a baddie. And the specific one I'm thinking of is going to be from Farashi, and her name is going to be Maeve. She's a sly She's a sly shapeshifter who has like a witchy looking hat that is possessed by an imp, and it has like eyes and teeth, and it looks alive, which I think that's a pretty cool design element, to be honest. And just like TLDR of the story, she's originally not from Earth. However, after the humans invaded her planet and destroyed many of the creatures' homes, they decided to attack the humans and take Earth as their new like living place habitat kind of thing. Honestly, some pretty cool lore. I like having some extra story elements with the character. It kind of helps me like decide a pose and like personality for them, if that makes sense. Alright, so this is a sketch that's bro. Alright boys, so this is the finished sketch of Maeve here. You know, I'm a pretty big fan of the design. I really like how the hat is alive. I think that's just like a cool touch. You know, I try to incorporate like the smoke fire effect that was in like the bottom of the dress, like all around. I feel like it just kind of fit. So, you know, I say we make her all kawaii with some blush and then get to shading. You know what I mean? In this one, I didn't have as much trouble as like picking a pose with Tonya. I don't know why I had so much trouble with his pose, but I had a lot of trouble with the skin tone here. I don't know if I got it like 100%, but it's kind of like a gray, which I honestly think it looks cool. I just ran into skill issues end of the day, you know what I mean? I think we settled on one that like, it does the job, but I do feel like it's still a little off, but I'll take what I can get here. And she had some pretty luscious lips in the reference, so we're gonna have to stay true to the source material here. I'm not gonna worry too much about like individual details of this one, because I feel like it'll look cooler if it's a little bit looser, if the shading is. So I think I'm just gonna go like aim more for the vibe. Just gotta change some shading colors so it looks decent. Yeah, I like to do it in like a pretty strong neutral tone, just so that it just makes sense, just so I can verify that all the stuff's working as it should, operating as intended, and then we can switch it back to something that's a little less harsh. Yeah, I know you guys. We got a little bit of detail to the money makers here. Yeah, one thing that I think is pretty important for like improving your style is having a lot of like not being too scared of experimenting with new things. There's nothing inherently wrong with like wanting to stay with what you normally do, but I feel like it's pretty important to branch out. You know, try some stuff. Oh, like you think, oh, this effect looks cool. Try it out. Usually it looks pretty bad. Not gonna lie, but on the 0.001% chance it looks cool, it's like the best feeling ever. So I think since the color scheme that they chose it just like works so well, the shading doesn't need to be very intricate. You know, I think it just needs to show some of the basic 3D shapes, and I think it just works out, you know? That's the benefit of like a well-designed character though. So actually, now that I think about it, this is the only female OC I've drawn from you guys. Maybe we might need to do a baddie only episode potentially. Ooh. And I like choosing a warmer color for the highlights of the stuff. It's not like a strict highlight. It's just like another value, but I think it helps bring out some more of the 3D effect that we're going for. Let's see here. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I think it's time for some final details. This one's going pretty quick as well. That's kind of nice. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of used to like having to design the character while I'm drawing it from all the daily portraits and stuff that I've been doing. So I'm not too used to just having the character ready and you just full send, just commit to it. Kind of nice actually. And recently I've been throwing like the skin color in the hair as like kind of like a reflected light. I think it kind of works out, honestly. Yeah, we got the savior strands coming in. Dude, these, I don't know why, but these like individual little hairs have saved so many of my drawings. Here's Maeve all finished up. You know, I'm a pretty big fan of how this one turned out. In this sketching phase, this was one of the weaker ones, I thought, but I think it turned around in coloring, you know. Yeah, for this one I really messed with like the OG character design. Yeah, here's all three compared to the OGs. You know, I think we did some pretty good work today. They're all a little off what I was kind of hoping for, but not enough to where like it's like, oh, I hate this, I'm gonna just cry, give up, all that. Not quite at that point, so I like that. But you know, I think that's all I got for you guys this week. So see you when I see ya.